October, 1347. The port of Messina, Sicily. A Genoese trading ship docks after a long voyage from the Black Sea. The harbor master notices something wrong before the ropes are even tied. The sailors are covered in black boils. Some are already dead at their oars. The Black Death has arrived in Europe. Within 5 years, it will kill 100 million people. 300 miles north, in a village outside Avignon, a woman named Marguerite tends her herb garden. She is what the village calls a wise woman. What the church calls something else entirely. She knows which plants reduce fever, which roots ease pain. But nothing in her garden, nothing in any garden on earth, can stop what is coming. Except something does. One morning, Marguerite finds a box in her garden. White. Smooth. Made of a material she cannot identify. Inside, arranged in perfect rows, are small white tablets. Hundreds of them. Pressed with a precision no human hand could achieve. And on the lid, words in a language she cannot read, amoxicillin 500 milligrams. Take with water. Complete the full course. She does not take them. She smells them. Tastes the edge of one, carefully. It is bitter. Chemical. Nothing like any herb she has ever encountered. She wraps them back up and places them on a high shelf. A curiosity. Nothing more. And then the plague arrives. It hits the village like a hammer. The baker falls first. Then his wife. Then the children. Black swellings appear under arms, in groins, on necks. The smell is indescribable. The priest offers prayers. The barber surgeon offers bloodletting. People die anyway. 10 in the first week. 20 in the second. On the 19th day, Marguerite's neighbor, a young mother of 3, develops the boils. She is delirious with fever. The priest has already given last rites. In desperation, Marguerite retrieves the white box. She crushes 2 tablets into water and holds the cup to the woman's lips. She has no idea what she is doing. She is performing the first antibiotic treatment in European history. The fever breaks by morning. By the 3rd day, the boils are shrinking. By the 5th, the woman is sitting up, asking for bread. Her children weep. Her husband falls to his knees. And Marguerite stares at the white box with new eyes. This is not a curiosity. This is a weapon against death itself. Word travels fast in a dying village. Marguerite treats 11 more people. 9 survive. She is careful with the doses, 3 tablets, 3 days, plenty of water. She does not know about bacterial infections or cell wall synthesis. She only knows the pattern: white tablet, water, wait. Live. But here is the problem with performing miracles in the 14th century. Someone always notices. And someone always talks. The village priest, Father Gerard, watches Marguerite's patients recover with increasing unease. Prayer did not save them. Bloodletting did not save them. The church's remedies failed. But this woman's white tablets did not. That is not a miracle. That is a threat. He sends a letter to the Bishop of Avignon. The letter uses a word that, in 1347, is a death sentence. Sorcellery. Witchcraft. A woman in the village possesses white stones that cure the pestilence. No prayer accompanies the cure. No invocation of Christ. The stones work on their own. This can only be the work of the devil. The inquisitor arrives on a Tuesday. A thin man with thin lips and the absolute certainty of someone who has never been wrong. He interviews the survivors. They praise Marguerite. They describe the white tablets. Each testimony that should save her condemns her further. In the logic of the Inquisition, a cure without God is a cure from the devil. There is no third option. Marguerite is arrested on a Thursday. She does not resist. She asks only one thing, that the remaining tablets be given to the sick. The inquisitor smiles. He says the tablets will be taken into church custody. For examination. For the protection of immortal souls. He says this while 37 people in the village are dying of plague. The trial lasts 2 days. Every miracle is reframed as black magic. Every life she saved is evidence of a pact with Satan. Marguerite tries to explain, she simply gave them the tablets and water. Nothing more. The inquisitor asks where the tablets came from. She says she found them. He asks who made them. She says she does not know. He says only one being creates objects of unknown origin. And his name is not God. She burns on a Saturday. The people she saved are forced to watch. Some weep openly. Others look away. The children of the mother she cured hide their faces in their father's coat. The flames take a long time. And somewhere in the crowd, Father Gerard closes his eyes and tells himself this was necessary. The souls of the village have been saved. The bodies, of course, continue to die. The remaining tablets, 216 of them, are transported to the Cathedral of Avignon under armed guard. They are placed in a lead-line reliquary alongside fragments of the true cross and a vial said to contain the tears of Mary. The Church does not destroy them. Destruction would acknowledge their power. Instead, they are sealed, sanctified, and forgotten. The plague kills half of Europe. 60 million people. Entire villages emptied. Trade routes collapsed. Feudalism fractured. An apocalypse measured not in explosions but in boils and fever and the slow mathematics of contagion. And the whole time, 216 tablets of amoxicillin sit in a locked vault in southern France. Enough to save a city. Locked behind theology. Centuries pass. The Renaissance comes. The Reformation. The Enlightenment. Wars reshape borders. Empires rise and fall. And beneath the Cathedral of Avignon, behind a door that requires 3 separate keys held by 3 separate bishops, the tablets wait. The lead reliquary preserves them perfectly. No moisture. No light. No decay. As if they were designed to survive exactly this long. 1928, Alexander Fleming returns from vacation to find mold contaminating a petri dish in his London lab. The bacteria around the mold are dead. He has discovered penicillin. But it will take 12 more years to turn it into medicine. 12 years of failed experiments, underfunding, and scientific bureaucracy. The first clinical use of penicillin will not happen until 1940. 1940, the Cathedral of Avignon undergoes renovation. A construction crew breaks through a wall that has not been opened in 400 years. Behind it, the vault. Behind the vault, the reliquary. Inside the reliquary, beneath a fragment of gilded wood and a sealed glass vial, sits a white box. Amoxicillin 500 milligrams. Take with water. Complete the full course. A chemist at the University of Montpellier is called in to examine the tablets. He runs every test available. The compound is unmistakable. Beta-lactam ring. Antibacterial properties. Nearly identical to the penicillin derivatives that Howard Florey and Ernst Chain are, at that exact moment, racing to mass produce in Oxford. The same medicine. 600 years apart. Found in the same year it was finally reinvented. The discovery makes the local papers. Then the national ones. Then it is classified. The French government seals the file in 1941. The war is on. The implications are too dangerous. Not the medical implications, the temporal ones. Someone, somehow, placed 21st century medicine in a 14th century garden. And the church locked it away for 600 years while a continent bled. Think about that. 100 million dead from the Black Death. 60 million more from secondary plagues in the centuries that followed. The scientific revolution delayed by generations as Europe rebuilt from ashes. The rise of superstition. The witch trials. The Inquisition's grip on knowledge that lasted half a millennium. All of it, because one priest wrote one letter with one word. Sorcelary. The cure was here. It was always here. Sitting in the dark. Waiting for a world that was ready to understand it. And by the time that world arrived, it did not need it anymore. It had made its own. 600 years of death. Because humanity got the answer before it could handle the question. Chrono drop.